Okay, so we're now back to the basic default level. First, one thing to keep in mind when you build the level for System Shock 2 is that the absolute center of your level must not be used. You cannot have a fill airbrush set at the X, Y, Z coordinates of 0 by 0 by 0. Or if you have one, then it must be closed off and inaccessible. That's because when you go to game mode, Dromed will load a bunch of artifacts at these coordinates, and it may lead to bugs if you put an actual playable environment there. So here we're going to move that default brush away from the center. You can do it using either here just dragging it, left clicking on the setting you want and dragging left or right, or you can hold the shift key and again left click and drag, or you can just put the location you want here. Another thing to do is to resize the brush. We're going to make a little office, so we're going to reduce the size here to 16 by 12 by 10. So here I'm typing it because I know what I want, but to fine-tune your level later on to connect brushes and everything, you can also use the control key, hold it, and again left click and drag. That's quite handy. So here I'm gonna 12 and 10. Okay, so now I'm gonna portalize, and now I'm gonna hold right click and select solid and selection, and here I'm gonna use the light bright command to get back there. Okay, so now I have this empty room and I'm gonna texture it. Now if you remember, there's a command line to do that, but I have here a nifty custom menu that you can find at Looking Less Classics, and I just have to select the family I want, here engineering one, and I bring up Alt-T and it's there ready for me to use. So I'm gonna select this and then select this one here, and for the ceiling I'm gonna use this one. And oh, the ceiling is not good, so I'm gonna resize it a bit. Let's close the texture menu, reduce the size here, and there, it should be okay. Nice. Now the texture is perfectly aligned with my room. Usually want to go with multiples of 4 for the dimensions of your brushes. Depending on how you resize and the size of your brush, it might change. But 4 by 4, 8 by 12, 16 by 12. It wasn't an accident if I chose these dimensions. It's because the textures, especially tiles and well, multiples of 4. That's really useful. So now I'm gonna add that. So far, that's something that we did last time. So I'm gonna portalize, and now I'm gonna add an object. So objects, if you remember, objects are everything that you can interact with. The lights, the chair, the switches, the AIs, all these are objects. Even you, as a playing character, are an object as far as Dromed is concerned. Now, objects are classified by categories called archetypes. And you can bring up the whole list of archetypes here by going to Editor, Object Hierarchy, and then you have the whole list. of everything, every object that can possibly be used in System Shock 2. Here I want to build, to create a desk, so I'm going to Physical, I go to Functional, Usable Containers, and I select desk number 2. And now I click Create, and you will notice that the focus here in the Create column shifted from brush to object. That means that the next thing I will create will be an object and not a brush. If you remember, it happened last time when we selected the lights. It shifted from brush to light. So I click wherever I want in my level and drag, and I have created a desk, but it's floating in the middle of the room. It's not aligned with the floor or anything. Now, to just put it on the floor, there's a handy command here called floor me that you can use for lamps, plants, desks, chairs, even windows, that just, bam, stick them to the floor. It's quite handy. Fortunately, there's no counterpart to stick stuff to the ceiling, so we have to do fine tuning to do so. But here the desk, I'm gonna zoom in, and now the desk is perfectly aligned with the floor. Perfect. Okay. So I'm gonna put a -8 to just so it's in the middle of the room. And there's something wrong here. I put the light bright command, but the desk is all dark. That's because there's a separate command to highlight objects, and it's called lit_obj toggle. If you enter, and bam, I have the object highlighted. Now I'm going to move it a bit there. Okay. And now I'm going to create a chair to go with it. So go back to the object hierarchy. I go out of functional, I go to decorative, item, furniture, chairs, and chair number 2. Click create, and I have my chair. I floor it, and I have it where I want. Now the only thing that's wrong here is that it's not oriented the way I want it. I'm gonna have to rotate it. To rotate, I'm gonna rotate on the B axis here. So just like moving and resizing, there are 3 ways. I can just click on the B here and drag. Okay, that wasn't the B, so that's the H. My bad. That's right. So I can just click and drag, or I can hold the Alt key and left click and drag, or I can just type the number I want. Nice. Now I'm gonna create a light. I go back to object hierarchy, because I won't create a brush like last time. I want an object to be the light. So I go here in lights, I create a cylinder light, create here, I'm gonna zoom in a bit. I gotta put it at -8 in the middle of the room. Here, I'm gonna go up a bit because this time I have to stick it to the ceiling, and I'm gonna just click that until it's ready. There, let's put 30. Okay. Now I have a room with a desk, a chair and a lamp in the ceiling. I'm gonna just portalize. Save my level. Oops. Let's see. Well, let's see it here. Office. Oh, I clicked open. My bad. Save mission. Office. Miss. Right. Okay. And now I want to check my level, but there's something that I need to do first, because I moved my brush away from the center of the level. So if I materialize now, I'm gonna materialize like last time at the 0, 0, 0 coordinates, and now there's nothing there, so I'm just gonna materialize into solid matter and fall forever. So what I want to do is materialize inside that room, and since we don't have a character player set up yet, there's a command that I can use that tells Shocket that when I want to go to game mode, I want to materialize where my camera is. And that's persistent player position. Persistent underscore player underscore POS for position. I just click that, and now when I go to game mode, I will materialize wherever I was looking in the Shocket window. So let's try that. And next we're gonna see how to create links and make the desk contain some. Okay, so I've checked my little office here, and I want now to put something to be found inside inside the desk. I'm going to create two objects. I'm going to create a bag of chips and a magazine, and I will leave the bag of chips on the floor, and I will place the magazine inside the desk. Now how can I do that? Now let's go to physical, decorative, items and chips. I'm going to create the chips here. I'm going to rotate them, lie down and floor them. That's just for the hell of it. And now I'm going to create a magazine, and I love ping pong, so I just use that one. I'm going to create, and I can create it wherever I want. I can even create it here if I want, because it won't be found inside the level, it will be found inside the desk. The first thing I want to check is the properties of this magazine, and the properties are brought up by clicking here on properties, and I only need this number, 480. That's the only thing I want. I don't need anything else. I just want that. So I click done, and I'm done. And now I bring up the properties of the desk, again clicking properties, and I will click on add, and that brings up a list of functions, and the one I want is links, and again in turn it brings up a whole list of categories, and the one I want is contains here, and I click on add, and the one I want, oops, contains from here 476 to the magazine, which was, if you remember, 480. Okay, now it's ready. The link is done. You see it goes from the desk to the magazine, and it's called contains. I click OK. I click Done. The link is here in the properties. And now, even if I put the magazine inside the room, it won't appear. It will be invisible because Shockhead knows that it is contained by the desk. Now I'm gonna portalize and I'm gonna try it. Save. And that's it. Let's go to game mode to check it out. It didn't work. It didn't work because you have to tell Shockhead to load all the scripts associated with System Shock 2 first. And to do so, you have to type here script load all objects. This is the command that tells Shockhead to make every object behave as they should. Desk as a desk, chairs, script, monkeys, droids, whatever. So now you've typed this command, you will be able to go and check the desk and find the magazine inside it. Now I'm going to create here a marker called level start marker. This is something that will tell the game that I want to start my level at this location, hence the name level start marker. However, we're not finished yet. You don't just create this marker, you also have to go to the properties and add a link called player factory, and let's put it into frame. Here it's here, the player factory, and as the name indicates, it will create the player. Now let's go here, create player factory from object 474 to -384, which is how the player is called. And I know that because I noticed it here. Now this makes the level start here, so I don't need the persistent player position tool anymore. And since we have a light, I'm also going to deactivate the light bright and the lit up toggle. Now we're pretty close to having a real level, so let's portalize, save, and check it out. Now there's only one thing missing from my level before I can call it a real level, and that's not enemies or objectives or whatever. That can be added later. No, that's sounds. You don't hear any sound except for the interface, but that's scripted. You don't hear your footsteps or anything, and that's because to do sounds you have to create new brushes called room brush. That's why we don't talk about this as room. It's because room is used to refer to sound brushes. To do a sound brush, you just have to select your operation brush and you hold the shift key and then you type insert, and that creates a purple brush of the just slightly bigger than your current brush, and that's the sound brush. It's called default room because it can be used also for radiation rooms or for the gravity grav lifts. Right now we only want sound, so this purple thing here, you can resize it just like a normal brush. It behaves just the same. I'm gonna do undo here. You can rotate it. It behaves just like a normal brush, but it's only used for sounds. If you don't have one, you won't hear anything. Now I have that. I have on top of the portalizing that's used for architecture, there's a new command that I have to do now every time I modify the level, and that's the build room database. That creates the sounds for the level. So here it's only one room, but for example when you have 2 or 3 rooms separated by only a door, and it tells Shockhead that every room is separated, and instead of considering the whole as a single room, just so that enemies 3 miles away don't hear you coming as if you were just right beside them. So I'm going to click build room database here. I'm going to reportalize, and now you're going to check save, of course, always save. And now you're going to check your own footsteps inside your level. Okay, so now we have all we need, basically the basis for a real level. Oops. And I'm gonna add more brushes and more objects. I may not comment much of what I do. Basically I'm just gonna expand the level using what we saw up until now. So one thing I can comment though is that there's a very useful command when you create, for example, corridors or rows of rooms, and you want always the same size and the same characteristics for your brushes. There's one thing that you can do is clone the brush or the object. If you want to make a big room with rows of desks, you can just clone. Click here, clone, and it creates, as the name indicates, an exact copy of your brush that you can put wherever you want afterwards. So that's one thing I'm gonna do now. I'm just gonna clone and add stuff and link them. Then we will see how to connect the brushes with a few doors, and finally we'll see how to end the level with a little script that's called die shouldn't die, and as soon as it's activated it triggers the end of the level and the beginning of the end cutscene. So here, another level. portalize. Okay, so yeah, there you see they've got all the same textures as the first one. I'm also going to use a few shapes. There's the cylinder that's really cool to add. Let's use it with 8 sides. Oh, right. Brush. Here, let's rotate. Here, 19, 0. Damn French keyboard. There. Okay, so here -15. We're gonna put 14 here, and the same. I'm gonna add the length. Here. 30. Portalize, yes. Let's put this 90. That was here as well. There. Yeah, that's good. Here I'm gonna put 90. And there we have. I'm going to connect both. Here, create 2 doors. Clone 1. 4 and 9 -0.5 here to align it, and let's bring it closer. Here, zoom in a little bit more, and clone. And -8. And let's portalize to see if it works. It's probably not wide enough. Let's go there. Hmm. I mean there. Here. Oops. Portalize. Yes. So as you see, I've created a corridor and connected it to 2 rooms. Now the desk is just at the door, so I'm gonna move it on the other side. Oops. And the chair too. Let's put it there. Okay. Insert. Here. Oops. Do 17. And this one will be a little wider. Let's put 34. Oops. No. Let's put 11. Yeah. Okay. It's 17. Okay. Oops. What is it? There. Okay. 150. And a little wider here. Now we have a room. Fertilize. Yes. Now let's add some lights here. I'm gonna add Omnilight now. Where is the floor light? Floor light here. Create. I prefer to put a 8 by 0.25 put it on the ceiling. Well, where is it? Minus 15. Let's put it at 13. 11. Yes. Properties will be 75. There's one cool thing. Just by holding the control key, you can select several objects at the same time. Sorry, the shift key, and you can clone both of them. That creates what's called a multi-brush. So I'm going to put one here, for example, and at minus 10 too. And you can do a multi-selection of object and brushes at the same time. For example, if you want to recreate a whole room, that's very handy. You can even save them as multi-brushes. Here you have, for example, the replicators are a multi-brush that's actually saved in Shockhead, and you can create replicators just by selecting them here. But you can also do your own multi-brushes and save them and reuse them in your missions. I'm gonna portalize this now, and we're gonna check out how this works in the mission. Save here. Oh, and don't forget to build the room database. Almost forgot. And here. Now we're gonna check it out, and now after that we're going to create a door, 3 doors actually, to complete this little assemble that we created here. Alright, so we have this level, 3 rooms and 1 corridor, and we're going to create a door here to connect the office with the corridor. One thing to know is that an object, if the center of an object reaches a solid wall, it will disappear from the player's view. It will still be there, but it will not be visible. So when you create doors, since doors do not open like normal doors, but usually just like in Star Trek, they just slide open. We have to create first a space for the door to go into, and to do so we will just clone this, reduce the size here, and just nudge it out of the way. Let's put it at minus 4.10, and then, you know, we will create the door here and it will slide into this space, and since the space will be filled with air, the door will not disappear midway through. So let's portalize, and now let's bring up the object hierarchy, physical, terrain, doors, and we'll choose the SciMed door. Oops. Don't know why I choose that. Physical, terrain, doors, create, right. Now, let's rotate it 90 degrees. Here, -8 at 8.5, and we will have to reduce the size twice. First, the visible size here. We'll have to change it, but we'll have to change it in the properties, not here. Here in the dimensions, we want it to be 4 units by 0.25 by 9. And here we have to do it so that visually it fits the size. If you don't resize in the properties, the door will be the size you want visually, but you will bump into it like you would bump into an invisible wall, because for the game it will still be at its original dimensions. So you have to do that twice for every object you resize. Here 4, here 0.25, and here 9. Let's floor it just in case, and there. And so when it opens, we'll have it slide into this space here. And for it to open, we will have to create an object that tells the door we want it to open, and that object is called a tripwire. You go to Object Hierarchy, you go to Traps, and here Tripwire, and you put it at the same location as your door. Sometimes you want to resize them. Here 4x4x4 is okay. -8, 850, and 0 is okay. There. And just like with the desk and the magazine, we need the numbers here. 493, and for the door is 486. And the link we will create is called switch link, and it's there. Let me bring it into view here. There, it's called switch link. It will switch the door on and tell it to open. Switch from 493 to 486. Okay, okay, done. Now anytime you materialize in the level, you cross this line here, you cross the boundaries of the tripwire, it will send a signal to the door telling it to open. You can also, instead of a tripwire, you could have a button here saying the same thing to the door, and just when you activate it, then the button switches the door on and off. We'll create it here for it to see how it works. Right now we're gonna portalize, save, and check how it works. So what happened here? It happened exactly what I said would happen. The door, instead of opening this way, opened that way. So here we didn't create a field, a brush filled with air, so it disappeared midway through. There are two ways to fix this. I could either put that here, but we're going to go have a closer look at the properties, and here we see that there's a translating section. Closed position is 0, is the default position, and open position here is -6. I'm gonna put, instead of -6, I'm gonna put 4, because 4 is the dimension of our door here, and positive value because I want it to go the other way, as opposed to what it's doing right now. And base speed, I'm gonna divide it by 2 just so we can see this well. I'm gonna put OK, done. Let's reportalize just for the hell of it. Save and check it out. Now I'm going to do the same with I'm gonna clone this. Clone there. -18.1 and the door. Clone -22. Right there in position. Now instead of a tripwire, I'm going to create a switch, a real switch, and I'm going to tools, to editors, object hierarchy. I go to functional controllers, button 2, create. There. Light bright, lit object toggle. Where is it? All right, it's inside the space here. So I'm gonna move it. Okay, so let's move it there. Let's rotate it there, and I will get it closer to the wall here. Oh, a bit much. There. And just like last time, I have the number here of the door, 473, and here the number of the button. I'm gonna add a link. Switch link from 475 to 473. Okay, okay, and done. And there I have a button opening the door. Now be careful, because if you open and enter, then the door will close and you won't be able to get out. To fix that, I can create another button here, but you can do that. Here I won't do it. Let's portalize, save, and check if it works. Okay, and one last thing. Now we've got a room with an office. An office with a desk, a chair, some lights, a door, sound, lights. I already said lights. We only have to find a way to end the mission, and to do that, we're going to use a switch, just like the one we used for the door here. Actually, I'm gonna copy it. I'm gonna clone it. I'm gonna drag it there. I'm gonna stick it to the wall. there a little more. And the way to end a mission is to create a marker. So object hierarchy marker create here, and this marker will have a script properties. I'm gonna add here s scripts, and this script is called die shouldn't die. Okay, done. This marker is number 483, and I'm gonna create a switch link just like with a door. Here, add links and switch link here. Switch link from 482, which is the number of this button, to 483, which is the number of our marker. Done. And this will tell, instead of turning on or turning off a light or opening a door, it tells the marker to send to run the script, and this script basically ends the mission and triggers the final cutscene. So I'm gonna portalize here, save the mission, and now we have a complete, if small, level with a level start marker here that makes you begin the mission right there. A few objects contained in a desk, some lights, functional doors, and the way to end the mission. So that's basically a little mission that you have there. And I think that's a wrap for today. We can see in more details later how to add, I don't know, environment like grass or windows, but that's basically advanced texturing and object placement. Here you have the basics with this level that I'm gonna attach to the video on Purkaia. You have in this mission all the tools that you need to create your own mission. That's all that you need to know to get started, and everything else is just icing on the cake. So here you have check this level, check the other levels, and start playing with Sharkhead and build your own missions. Well,